let's say we try to get back to that night when we swore we'd feel this way forever. We'd watch the sun go down, the world spun round and round, life's getting blurry, can't we slow it down and fall in love again? Tonight, let's make more memories, baby. Fall in love again. Don't hold back, get a little crazy. Ooh, tonight, let's fall in love again.
Welcome to this special edition of the Friends of Dan Music Podcast. I'm Dan Miles. The song you just heard is from the latest release by Nick Nicholson. Nick was my guest way back on episode 2 of the podcast. At the time, he was telling us about a film he was going to be appearing in and also a new CD he was working on. I'm happy to say that both the film and the CD have recently been released. And joining me now on the phone to talk about both of them is Nick Nicholson. Welcome back, Nick.
Hey, Dan, how are you, brother?
I'm good, and you've been a busy man.
Yeah, I've been busy. Last couple of years has been busy to say the least.
Got a lot going on. Well, let's start by talking about the film. It's called Off the Boulevard, and it's a documentary about the challenges independent artists face, as told from the perspective of 2 actors, 2 filmmakers, 2 musicians, and a comedian. We'll talk about the others in a minute, but first let's talk about your own involvement. How did you feel about the way you were portrayed in the movie?
I felt okay about it. I mean, my story was a little less dramatic compared to Troy Duffy's, I should say.
Well, I thought you came across as a guy who's paid his dues and is just going to keep fighting until he gets where he wants to be.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's keeping on going on. I mean, the last part of the movie, Jeff Santo was like, hey, man, we put this part in here for you. It says, Nick's touring full time and whatnot. And I'm like, don't do that. Dude, that's like a bad omen, 'cause it's not, it obviously didn't come to pass yet, so, because the movie just came out. I'm the last guy he filmed, so I'm shooting for that, by George.
You're on the right direction. Your trajectory is going up, not down.
Yeah, we're trying. I mean, I'm getting tired, let's put it that way, but...
Well, this was shot over a pretty long period of time. I know there's a lot of footage that didn't make it into the film. Is there anything you wish would have made it in that he shot that he didn't use, or is all your best stuff in there?
It's, when they shoot you for 3 years, it's hard to remember everything that was in there.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of pre-film stuff as well, and nothing really caught my eye as far as what would make a difference as far as my side of the story. I mean, he got the important parts.
Yeah. Is there anything that you're relieved that he didn't use? Like, thank God he didn't put that in there.
Well, nothing vocally, but I mean, if you watch it, I go from 190 pounds to 240, back down to 185 to 215. So, and then I shaved my beard off and had nothing but the little whatever patch on my
soul
chin
patch
or whatever.
Yeah, but all the interviews of all the artists are shot at different times and places and different sequences. So that's kind of the style of the film. So, you can tell just by glancing at a section of it that it was done jumping around in time. There's quite a bit of live performance footage of you. There's even a scene with you playing the drums.
Yeah, that's my dad was at that show. I did a concert in West Virginia, and he was going to come up and see it. And that was the first time he actually seen me, perform music in I'd say 20 years.
Wow.
And I told the guys, I said, hey, I need to do a drum song because, to honor my dad being a drummer for all those years, because he's in a almost in a wheelchair, but not quite. Mm-hmm. He's on a walker, let's put it that way. So I said, I think it'd be a really cool idea if we did this, and we did it, and, he dug it, so that's why we did it.
Yeah, well, me knowing you personally, knowing you have the background as a drummer, but for somebody who just comes across the film who's never heard of you before, they can quickly tell you're a country singer, but then seeing you playing some drums, I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of cool. I mean, I'd love to incorporate that in my shows in the future. It's just going to have to be the shows have to be on a smaller scale as far as not bars. I do a lot of hour shows and 90-minute shows in Vegas and whatnot, and I'd love to incorporate that, but, you know.
Well, if you're feeling tired, I don't recommend incorporating drum solos and stuff into the show.
No. I'm getting tired of the business aspect of it. I'm not getting tired of the music.
Yeah.
Music is my life, but the whole business side of things starts to wear on you after a while, stress-wise. I mean,
Yeah.
I swear, I broke my foot like last year, and I swear it wasn't from jumping off the bar up in Flagstaff, Arizona. I think it was from in my bed at night, twisting and turning, and my foot was, I'm 6'2", so my foot's up against the footboard. I think I actually tweaked it in my sleep, but I was in a cast for about 8 weeks.
Well, one of the things about the movie is, all the 7 people that are featured in it have had their struggles with the business side of it. No one has really struggled with the artistic side. It's, when you have to butt up against the business. I thought that the director, Jeff Santo, he did a good job of balancing all the different individual stories that he was telling simultaneously. And he kept the tone very informal. He left in a lot of outtakes. And I like that because when you watch it, it makes you feel more like a participant in the film as it's being shot than just, simply an audience member. And the film touches on a few of his other movies, Liar's Poker, Jake's Corner, This Old Cub, his experiences getting those made and distributed. The other filmmaker that you mentioned, Troy Duffy, who wrote and directed the cult classic, The Boondock Saints. I think of all the artists featured in the film, he can make the best case for being completely screwed over by the system. One of the stars of the Boondock Saints, David Della Rocco, is one of the actors featured in the movie, and his story just goes to show how one popular performance doesn't automatically translate into a career. He had that one memorable performance and then never really got a chance to follow it up. The other actor is a refugee from Bosnia, so his story has the added dimension of, fleeing a war zone to come here. And then the comedian, Bob Rubin, my favorite scene with him is when Jeff Santo takes him to a film class that he's teaching and tells the students he's a big-time TV executive from Hollywood, and then just has him go on this manic tirade about the industry. It's funny to watch the students' reactions. They're not sure if it's for real. And then finally, the other musician in the film is Keith Jackson. His story seems to be more about trying to recapture some of his past success, but doing it from outside the system instead of from within. Your stories are all told more or less separately, but did you make much contact with these other guys during the making of the film?
During the making, not towards until the end. I mean, when Jeff got married to Christy, the producer, and she does amazing work, by the way. She designed my CD cover that's coming out, and she edited down my music video, and I'm sure we'll be talking about, and plus she edited down the movie.
That must have been a chore, because I know it was shot, your involvement might have been 3 years, but I think some of it goes back 5 or 6 years, and she had a lot of footage to sort through, I'll bet.
Oh, yeah. So when I met the cast, the entire cast was when he got married on 10-10-10, which is his dad's baseball number. And luckily I got to meet him because he passed away, unfortunately, 2 months later. And I got to meet him at the wedding, and it was funny, Dan, because I came up and I said, "Hey, man, I always wanted to meet you. I'm a big Cubs fan," and I stuck my hand out. And he goes, "You're Nick Nicholson." And I'm like, "Yeah, so what?" I'm like, "You're Ron Santo." So it was a beautiful day, and that's when I met the whole cast.
Yeah, cool. We should also mention that there's some additional interviews in the movie with pretty well-known artists like Peter Fonda, Joe Mantegna, and Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
Looks like he got each one of them to sit down for an interview, and that's intercut with the rest of it. So, if anybody is an independent artist, or if you've never even really thought about it, when you sit and watch this film, it really gives you an insight into what it's like to come up against the industry that doesn't really care if you're talented or not. You just kind of have to dot your I's and cross your T's if they're not interested. And it's a struggle, but it has its rewards.
Yeah, to be honest with you, coming up as an independent, coming up, I mean, if you count, the last 15 years solid as coming up, you don't know what they want. That's the biggest frustration. You don't know what they're looking for. And on the countryside, I mean, rock and roll, you know what they want. And then all of a sudden, boom, everybody's screaming instead of singing like Eddie Vedder. Then it's like when Eddie Vedder started singing in Pearl Jam and all those, SPP and all those guys. I mean, I thought the grunge era was great. Everybody frowns on it, but are you nuts? that's when drummers come up front and start singing. I mean that spreads the talent across the bass players and whatnot. Not everybody has operatic training and stuff. So.
Well, there are not very many leaders, and there are a lot of followers in all aspects of life, and I think that a lot of the industry decision makers are basically followers. They want someone else to take the lead, and then they want to go copy it. And that's certainly true in television, films, music.
It's definitely true. Well, this work now. Let's just and you'd think they'd get over that, Dan. I mean, come on, man. TV's been out for how long? Since 1940 something.
Yeah. Well, if our listeners want to go to our YouTube channel, which is Friends of Dan Pod, I've posted the trailer for the film. You can buy the physical DVD at jeffsanto.com. That's JEFFSANTO.com. You can also download the movie at Amazon.com, either as a purchase or as a 7-day rental, which is only $2.99. So, it doesn't have a wide theatrical release, but there's certainly easy ways to get it, and of course I highly recommend people check it out. What kind of reaction have you been getting from your friends and fans since the movie came out?
Everyone who has purchased it has actually been like, wow, unbelievable. I had no idea what you were going through, and not doing a theatrical release, I feel, has made it suffer in some way. But being independent, as Jeff Santo is, and I am, myself, and there's only so much money. I mean, you don't want to see that mountain, that hill of debt keep growing and growing with, disappointment. And he did a great movie called Jake's Corner, but a lot of people got it. He did a theatrical release, and he ended up taking it in shorts in the movie, and so I can understand why the guns are not firing on this aspect of it, but we're hitting a different angle, and that's what being an independent is about, is, what, maybe I need to back up and stop what I'm doing right now and take a look and really think about how I need to approach this compared to the industry standard, because obviously we're not industry standard people, or we would have the deal, the movie deal or the record contract or whatever, if we were just standard, if the business was standard enough and easy enough to get into. So, and that's the avenue we're all taking with it, and we all support each other.
Right, and if you watch the film and you watch Jeff Santo and Troy Duffy's stories, clearly the lesson they learned is, the direct delivery. Get rid of the middleman, take your product straight to your fans. So it makes sense to distribute this film that way, directly off his website. Makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. I mean, we are hoping for the success, but taking this avenue, we all know that it's going to take a little longer than the average. Put your face on every commercial coming across. I mean, the only difference between a movie deal and not even a difference. There's no difference between a movie deal and a record deal as far as the only thing it's about is the publicist and the marketing factor. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Well, this is a perfect film for the independent film channel. This thing gets on rotation over there. A lot of people will see it. And also, films is one of those things where when you get critical acclaim, sometimes some time can pass, and once a critic decides they like something, that can snowball too. So, well, let me congratulate you on the movie and your involvement in it. And I know you're going to get some good exposure from it. But let's move on to the new album, Stronger Than Whiskey.
Absolutely.
You released the title track last year as a single. Last time we spoke, you told us about your producer, David Norris. And now that I've heard the whole album, I have to say that you two make a really great team. You guys touched on a variety of musical styles, but you kept everything cohesive. That's not always easy to do.
Yeah, I think it's the bass player drummer thing. He's a fluent bass player, an awesome guitar player. I mean, I think he plays a lot of instruments. I mean, he played dobro on one of my tracks. He's just eat up with music, but he'd been in Nashville for 15 years, and he just signed a deal, and I don't even know who it's with, but he just signed a deal, and obviously he's as a producer, he's going to try to drag me into that too as well. And I'm all hopeful, and I'm hoping God will look down on that and say, you know what, let's count it off.
I think you guys complement each other well. Him as a producer and a writer and a musician, and you as a writer, musician, and vocalist and artist. I mean, you guys fit real well together.
Yeah, we had. I went out there last Christmas, and instead of spending Christmas at home, I was home by Christmas Day, but I went out there and with C.J. Watson and Dave Norris, and C.J. Watson wrote "Stronger Than Whiskey" with Mike Ambrose and Dave, and man, we wrote 15 songs in 3 days. I mean, it was just counted off, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got some leftovers to do the next album with.
Awesome.
You know, but I mean, the chemistry was just amazing. It was they really dug my rock edge, like you had mentioned, because you know me for years with the singing rock and roll back in the cover band days, and that's where my heart lies, is in rock, you know. And I knew that could cross over.
Oh yeah.
As soon as I figured out, I heard Garth Brooks. I'm like, I can actually do country. There's got to be a way, you know. Well, I'm a little harder if you listen to the record than the normal guy out there, but I think that separates me from the rest of them. But I'm still country enough to still drag them in. I mean, I love aggression. I love aggressive music. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's good variety on the album, and it all sounds like you. It's all cohesive. At the beginning of the podcast, I played a track called "Fall in Love Again." I think that's probably the most pop-oriented song on the album. And I know you were one of the writers on it and several other tracks, including the next one I'm going to play. I know that your last album was recorded pretty quickly, so how are things different recording this project?
A lot different. I mean, a lot of it had to do with money, obviously. The speed was still the same as far as, all right, I got a weekend. I can come in town and I'll fly on Friday night and we'll start Saturday morning and we'll record however many we get done, we get done or whatever. But, it was still the same speed factor, just on more numerous times, basically. As far as that song "Fall in Love Again," I mean, the songs that I helped pen were ideas that I had coming from, and the two that come to mind the most are, everybody thinks it's going to be the fast ones, but it's not. It's actually "Fall in Love Again" and "I Never Thought," and "Can't Get There From Here" are songs like, I mean, I've been married, I think 100 years, but it ain't been that long. I mean, it's only been, 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Nowadays, that's a big factor. And being in my business, and you've been there too, with your family, time away is time away. When wife stays home, hey, maybe we should fall in love again. Get that little fire back that we had back in the day. Do what we did, instead of go to the slow.
It's a catchy tune. It's I really liked it when I first heard it. In fact, I pretty much liked every track. When we spoke about the importance of your rock edge and not letting anybody water that down last time, I was watching for that, and you got the opener on the album, "Party of One." It's almost like a Robert Palmer song, but in a country vein. Got a solid rocker, the song called "Crawl."
Oh yeah, that's a great one. Ed Heiselman and Dave Norris wrote that one, and I think one other guy. But the story behind that song, I don't mean to drag this on along, but I was back there for the radio seminar. It's called CRS in Nashville. And Dave, my producer, was, there was a competition back there, and it's before he got signed to the label and stuff. And there was a competition, all right. Who's going to write the next song for, some artist? And they tripped out, did the song, and then I talked to Dave on Monday morning after I flew back, and he sent me the song. He's like, man, I can't believe that, that he didn't pick it. I'm like, man, I absolutely freaking love this song, and I started playing that song live from then on out.
Yeah.
I mean, we figured out drum parts and everything else after that. It was just acoustic version. But that song right there is my absolute favorite on the whole entire album. I absolutely love that song.
Wow. Well, I'm going to play one that I think really integrates country and a rock edge real well. I'm just going to play it without saying the title. So let's check this out.
Down from the city for a walk on the countryside. If you want to go mudding with a country cousin, you shouldn't be wearing all white. She talked about shopping, talked about talking till the paint peeled off of my truck. I hung on every word till I finally earned enough, and I said, slide in, shut up, and hold on. took off, I guess he thought we were getting along real good. We must have been two, cause before I knew, we were all alone in the woods. I pitched a tent, in she went, while I got the fire just right. Minutes passed, I finally asked, could I have a little kiss goodnight? She said, slide in, shut up, and hold on. If you came to talk, you can take a walk. Otherwise, let's try to get the job done. Enjoy the ride and don't ask why. It's gonna be a lot more fun if you slide in, shut up, and hold on. Now I gotta smile. I can't wash off my face. I can't help thinking dirty when I hear somebody say, slide in, shut up, and hold on. If you came to talk, you can take a walk. Otherwise, let's try to get the job done. Enjoy the ride and don't ask why. It's gonna be a lot more fun if you slide in, shut up, slide in, shut up, slide in, shut up, hold on. Yeah.
Well, that one reminds me of a track we played last time you were on the show called Tell Me How You Want It. You just can't resist the double entendres, can you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the idea came up with like, I want something, like nasty, rebellish, but still clean enough to be on radio, I mean, that's where my soul's at, man,
Right. Yeah, that one kind of cracked me up when I first heard it and then reminded me of the Tell Me How You Want It. Yeah, you were one of the co-writers of that song, and we already mentioned Can't Get There From Here. I mean, I think that could have almost been the theme song for Off the Boulevard.
Well, I think so, man. But the story behind that is we come out with another version on the track that the track was actually cut to, and it was like this is what you don't know, so it's kind of a surprise to you. But it was I can't even remember the name of the song we've written to it, but it was too weak compared to the rest of the songs on the album. So I got a call from Dave, my producer, and him and CJ were sitting there, and basically we wrote it via phone. So
right.
I said, okay. He's like, well, we gotta like really like liven this thing up and make it more believable, and that's the big word there, believable. So I'm like, okay, well here's my story, and I told him my story, and that's how the song came about. So.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you listen to the lyrics of that, and just after seeing your story in Off the Boulevard, I mean, it just looks like it's the mission that you state in the movie. That song just kind of restates all that.
Well, yeah. I mean, you think about it. I mean, you have kids early. I mean, my son. I had a son with my ex-wife early in life. I mean, I got 21 years old. In the military. Definitely didn't want that kind of responsibility. I made the decision to do that and raise my son, and then I married Lisa and I raised her daughter, Brooke. And I don't know if that's the reason why or not, why it's not where it should be now, or if it was even destined to be that way. So that's where that idea came about. You can't get there from here. There's no way, and you can't get here from there.
Right.
Kind of thing. So.
Sure. Now, when you just mentioned writing it on the phone with Dave Norris and CJ, that would be CJ Watson, who's also another prevalent writer on the album. What do you want to tell us about him?
Absolutely phenomenal writer, undiscovered. I mean, the song that's on the album called Mirror Never Lies is unbelievable.
It's funny you say that because that's the next one I'm going to play.
Well, here's the thing. With that song, I heard it before. I heard it 2 years ago and was like, oh, man, that is an awesome song. And, my producer Dave's like, hey, man, last guy to sing that song got signed, And that wasn't my motivation. It was the truth behind the song, The Mirror Never Lies. I mean, it's unbelievable. And CJ told me that song's been on hold by major artists 27 times.
Wow.
And nobody's cut it because they're scared of it. They are scared of it.
Huh. Well, when I first heard the album, that's the one that jumped out at me in terms of the lyrics. It's sung from the perspective of a person's reflection. It's about being honest with yourself and accepting what your image, your actual physical image, is trying to tell you. Well, let's listen to it. Let's go ahead and spin that. It's called Mirror Never Lies from Nick's new album, Stronger Than Whiskey, written by C.J. Watson.
Count it off.
You look like you could use a shave and a couple of good nights sleep. Man, I just saw you yesterday, but I guess I didn't see just how bad you've been slipping. Everybody says you're living pretty rough. And what kind of friend would I be if I didn't say you need to straighten up? You made it crystal clear that you don't want to hear, so I'm giving you a visual this time. You won't believe nobody else, so turn and face yourself and tell me what you see in your own eyes. The mirror never lies. I think I see a little gray, but that don't mean you're old. You might have lost a little faith, but you ain't sold your soul. These dreams that you've been seeking, well, it might be you could reach them after all. But what the hell do I know? I'm only a reflection on the wall. You made it crystal clear that you don't want to hear, so I'm giving you a visual this time. You won't believe nobody else, so turn and face yourself and tell me what you see in your own eyes. The mirror never lies. If you wanna hit me, go on, give me your best shot. It'll get you 7 years of something you've already got. If you can walk away from me, you'll be running out on you. It's time to face the truth in your own eyes. The mirror never lies. The mirror never lies. The mirror never lies. You look like you could use a shave and a couple of good nights sleep.
Well, as we said, that's one of the rare tunes on the album that wasn't written by either you or David Norris. David Norris has a lot of great ones on here. He's got She Don't Love Here Anymore, which is along the lines of your earlier track, Two-Story House. Grandpa Still, which is a nice bit of storytelling. You mentioned the track I Never Thought, which you wrote with him. Now, that one, not only do I like the song, but I like the ambience of the recording. It was produced and recorded really well.
Yeah, it was. I was kind of scared of that song at first. I mean, the idea came with, I don't know how you say it. You're married for a while, and then you go out on the road, and things happen here or there, this and that. But the end result was not about the song. It was about, okay, I'll fix it before it happens, kind of thing. I mean, not based off my life personally, but.
Well, I like the lyrics, but I also just like the mid-tempo feel of it, because you got some slow songs, some ballads, you've got some rockers, and then that one's just kind of like cruising along. It's sort of in between. So That's one of the things I like to do.
Yeah, it's kind of a mid-tempo, hard to cover, let's put it that way, live.
I mentioned touching on different genres, and the next one I think comes pretty close to being soul music. It almost has a Curtis Mayfield vibe to it, and a different type of vocal from you. I have to say, I was surprised to find that this was a brand new song because it sounds like an old standard to me. Love Like You've Never Been Hurt.
Right. Yeah, that's Skip Anderson, I think, co-wrote that with Dave, which is Tracy Lawrence's brother. And he approached me with that song, and I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know if this is what I want to put on my album or whatever. And then I'm like, you know what? Stop and think. I can get a little church action on this thing, like I did when I grew up when I was singing in church and stuff.
Yeah, it would be, I would say, soul and maybe gospel were the two feels I got off. And I'm glad you decided to record it. I think overall it might be my favorite track on the album. I mean, it's not like, it's all close. I like them all. But, I mean, it was a surprise to hear it. And not only to hear you doing that type of song, but to find out that, Dave Norris and the other guy you mentioned wrote it, because it sounds like a song that's been around forever. Well, let's just play it and let listeners decide.
Let's do it.
You built a big stone wall around your heart. Won't let nothing in or nothing out. The sun is shining, but you're living in the dark. And the only way you'll ever break it down is you gotta love like you've never been hurt. Walk through the fire, even though it's gonna burn. There ain't no future looking back. If there's one thing I've learned, you gotta love like you've never been hurt. You can spend your whole life hiding from the truth, a head in your hand, all busted down. But girl, that ain't healing from the pain he put you through. Yeah, the only way you'll ever come around is you gotta love like you've never been hurt. Walk through the fire, even though it's gonna burn. There ain't no future looking back. If there's one thing I've learned, you gotta love like you've never been hurt. Don't live for what's behind you, 'cause tomorrow never knows. Let every day remind you why you let it go. There ain't no future looking back. If there's one thing I've learned, you gotta love. You gotta love. You gotta love like you've never been hurt.
Well, I want to mention you also produced a video of one of the songs on the album. It's called Neon Grave. Appropriately enough, the video was directed by Jeff Santo. And rather than play the song now, I thought it might be kind of cool instead to direct our listeners over to our YouTube channel where you can hear it and also see the visual images simultaneously as your first exposure to the song. And as I already mentioned, you can also find the trailer for Off the Boulevard on our YouTube channel too. Well, last time you were here, you said that your goal for the album was not to have any filler on it. You wanted every track to be top quality, and I think you actually pulled that off.
I think I did. I mean, that's what helped with my producer, Dave, and all the songwriters on there, and we strategically picked each song that I didn't write. Dave's got his heart and soul in this project as well, and I'm a believer. The guy's more than just a producer; he's a friend, and he believes in a. Let me just say it like this: he believes in a broadcast country singer.
Well, these songs, they sound like they'd be a lot of fun to perform live. I know you've included the title track Stronger Than Whiskey in your set because it came out as a single. And you also mentioned doing the song Crawl. But have you performed in any of the other new material prior to the release of the album in your live show?
Yeah, actually, we've done Slide Inch Up and Hold On. And we've done Party of One. And there's a new version of that, actually, I'll send to you tomorrow. There's a 4-second intro. And you've heard Love in the Elevator by Aerosmith.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a Going Down, and he laughs or whatever. Well, there's Nicholson, Party of One. And then, boom, the song kicks off. So that's on the hard copy, not the iTunes release. So hopefully that'll motivate people to buy that. So
yeah, I'll check that out for sure. Well, Nick's new album is available for purchase at CD Baby, Amazon, and iTunes. You can always get more information at his official website, which is nicknicholsonmusic.com. Well, Nick, thanks for coming back on and talking to us about all your latest work. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you having me on your show. I wish you much success. Go to the top, brother. Keep plowing.
And likewise. Well, we're going to wind things up now with another rock edge song that proves the man understands his audience, or at least one key segment of it anyways. This track is called Country Girls Gone Wild. So long, everybody.
Nose in a book all winter long, making that grade just to please her mom. Straight A, 4-point schoolgirl attitude. When the grass turns green and winter's gone, and she feels spring fever coming on, she'll do things that her daddy don't approve. Country girls go wild, all dolled up and looking like she jumped off the page of a magazine. Country girls go wild, shaking that thing on southern style. Bless her heart, she's a blowing off a little steam. She ain't the devil's child, just a country girl gone wild. When the sun goes down, the party's on. Ain't no sipping from a beer bong. The moon shining down on the belly button rain. Still take this night one step higher. She's lit up like a bonfire, shooting them down like it really ain't no thing. But tomorrow she'll change. Country girls go wild, all dolled up and looking like she jumped off the page of a magazine. Country girls go wild, shaking that thing on southern style. Bless her heart, she's a blowing off a little steam. She ain't the devil's child, just a country been drinking to forget for as long as I remember, and every day I face a bigger past. It's a river of regret. Please help me here, bartender. I'm drowning in the memories. The whiskey won't hold back. What else you got? 'Cause I need a shot of something stronger than whiskey, something that gets me higher than I've been, to rise out of this hole I'm in. Let it lift me right up to the roof. I need a shot of living proof. Is there something stronger than whiskey? Yeah. This monkey on my back, he's got the devil on his shoulder, telling him just how to bring me down, reminding me of all the things I can't get over, and the pressure that I'm under ever since he's been around. It seems to me there's gotta be something stronger than whiskey, something that gets me higher than I've been, to rise out of this hole I'm in. Let it lift me right up through the roof. I need a shot of living proof. Is there something stronger than whiskey? Yeah. Not the tears of a wife, not the blood of my father. Maybe I should try a little holy water. Would that be stronger than whiskey? Could it get me higher than I've been, to rise out